The prophet Isaiah describes 6 qualities which the Messiah will be blessed. God's Spirit will rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and fear of God. Isaiah 11:2. In all these qualities, the Messiah will excel all other human beings. The Messiah will see through the shame and hypocrisy of this world. He will have the power to sense a person's spirit, thereby knowing his spiritual record, and judging whether he is guilty or not. Regarding this power, it is further written, he will be filled with the spirit of fear of God. He will not judge by what his eyes see, or decide by what his ears hear. Isaiah 11:3. This is one sign by which the Messiah will be recognized. However, similar to the gift of prophet, this power will only develop gradually. The Messiah will use his power to determine to which tribe every Jew belongs. He will then divide the land of Israel into the land inheritance, with each tribe receiving its portion. He will begin with the tribe of Levi, determining the legitimacy of each Kohen and Levite. Regarding this, prophet said, he will purify the children of the Levi and refine them like gold and silver, to become bearers of an offering to God in righteousness. Malachi 3:3. The mission of the Messiah is sixfold. His primary task is to cause the whole world to return to God and his teachings. He will restore the royal dynasty and to the descendants of David. He will oversee the rebuilding of Jerusalem, including the third temple. He will gather the Jewish people to the land of Israel. He will reestablish the Sanhedrin, the religious supreme court and legislature of the Jewish people. This is a necessary condition for the rebuilding of the third temple. As it is written, I will restore your judges as at first, your counselors as in the beginning. Afterwards you will be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. Zion shall be redeemed with justice, and those who return to her with righteousness. Isaiah 1:26-27. So that the Sanhedrin would also be formally recognized. The Messiah would be king of Israel. In Isaiah's time, Jerusalem and Judah have fallen to a sinful state, though the people did not recognize their wickedness, nor did they sense the approaching disaster of God's judgment. Isaiah 1:3-5. Corruption runs rampant among the leadership, and justice is denied to the poor and powerless. Isaiah 1:23. God has announced his plan to restore the city and his people. He will use judgment to burn off all the unfaithful to him. Isaiah 1:25. And then rebuild and restore his people. When they were restored, the Lord will put in place judges and counselors, like the ones that occupy those seats during the times of David and Solomon, a time when Jerusalem was famous for its justice. Then Jerusalem will once again be known as a faithful city. The Messiah will lead Israel back to the Torah and rebuild the Holy Temple. Therefore, as Maimonides states, if there arises a ruler from the family of David, immersed in the Torah and his commandments, like David his ancestors following the both written and oral Torah, who leads Israel back to the Torah, strengthening the observance of its law, and fighting God's battle. When we assume that he is then we may assume that he is the Messiah. If he further successful in rebuilding the temple in its original site and gathering the dispersed of Israel, then his identity as a Messiah is certain. Worldwide influence. As the Messiah power is developed, so will his fame. The Lord will begin to recognize his profound wisdom and come and seek for his advice. He will then teach all mankind to live in peace and follow God's teachings. The prophet thus foretold, it shall come to pass in the ends of days that the mountain of God's house shall be set over all the other mountains, high and lifted up above the hills, and all nations shall come streaming to it. Many people shall come and say, Come, let us go up to our God's mountain, to the house of Israel's God. He is the Messiah, will teach us his ways. He, the Messiah, will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his path. For Torah shall go forth out of Zion, God's word from Jerusalem, and the Messiah will judge between nations, and decide between peoples. And they shall beat their hooks into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not have sword against nation, neither shall they practice war anymore. Isaiah 2:24, Micah 4:13. In the Messianic era, non-Jews will feel compelled to convert to many non-Jews will feel compelled to convert to Judaism. As a prophet foretold, I will then give all my people a pure tongue, that they may call in the name of God and serve him in one manner. Zephaniah 3:9. Once the Messiah has revealed himself, however, converts will no longer be accepted. Still, Jerusalem will become the center of worship and instruction for all mankind. God told his prophets, I will return to Zion, and man will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, and Jerusalem will be called City of Truth, the mountain of God's host, God of hosts, the holy mountain. Zechariah 8:3. Jerusalem will become the spiritual capital of the world. This will begin the period when the teaching of God will be supreme over all mankind. As it is written, For the Lord of God of hosts will be king in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem. He will reveal his glory in the presence of the wise elders. Isaiah 24:23. And all peoples will then come to Jerusalem to see God. The prophet Zechariah describes this graphically when he says, Many people of mighty nations will come and see God, the God of hosts in Jerusalem. In those days, 10 people out of all the nation will take hold of the corner of the garment of every Jew and say, We'll go with you, for we have heard that God is with you. Zechariah 8:22-23. In Jerusalem, the Jewish people will thus be established as the spiritual moral teachers of all mankind. At that time, Jerusalem will become the spiritual capital of the world. In the Messianic era, people will believe in God's proclaimed as unity. The prophet thus foretold, God will be king of all that are the earth. On that day, God will be one with his name, and his name one. Zechariah 14:9. Peace and harmony. In the Messianic era, jealousy and competition will cease to exist. For all good things will be most plentiful. All sorts of delicacies will be as common as dust. When men will no longer wage or prepare war, as the prophet foretold. Nations shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they practice war anymore. Isaiah 2:4. In the Messianic era, nations will live peacefully together. Similarly, people of all disposition will live together in harmony. The prophet spoke of this allegorically when he says, The wolf will dwell the lamb, the leopard will lie with the kid, and the calf the young lion. And the fowling together will be led by a child, the cow will gaze with the bee. The young will lie together with the lion, they will eat the straw like the ox. Isaiah 11:6-7. Although the Messiah's influence in teach all mankind, his mission would be to bring the Jewish people back to God. The prophet foretold, For the children of Israel will remain for many days with no king and no prince. Afterward, the children of Israel will return and see God, their Lord, and David, their king. They will come to awe in his goodness at the end of days. Hosea 3:4-5. Similarly, my servant David will be king over them. They will all have one shepherd, and they will all follow my ordinances, observe my laws. Ezekiel 37:24. All mankind will attain the highest level of divine inspiration without any difficulty whatsoever. As society reaches its perfection, the world will become increasingly godly. Humanity's main occupation will be to know God. The truth will be revealed to the entire world. Will acknowledge that the Torah is God's teaching. This is what the prophet meant by he foretold the earth will be full of knowledge of God, as water covers the sea. Isaiah 11:9. Similarly, all mankind will attain the highest levels of divine inspiration without difficulty whatsoever. God has promised to his prophet, It shall come to pass. Afterward I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh. Your sons and daughters shall prophesy. Joel 3:1. The prophet likewise in God's name, I will remove the hearts of stone from your flesh, and give you a heart of flesh. Ezekiel 36:26, that is inclination and towards good and strengthened in man, to the extent for not be drawn after physical at all. Rather, he will constantly strengthen himself spiritually and incline towards serving God and following his Torah. This is the meaning of the Torah's promise that God will circumcise the foreskin of your heart and the heart of your descendants, so that you will love God with all your heart, soul, and soul. Deuteronomy 36. What is this practice? The Messiah will not change the religion in any way. All of these commandments will be binding the Messiah, nothing will be added and struck out from the Torah. There is an opinion that only the books of the Bible is regularly studied in the Messianic era will be the 5 books of Moses and the scroll of Esther. The reason for this is that the other teaching of the prophet can be derived from the Torah. This is since the Messiah will reveal the meaning of the Torah to perfection. The prophetic writings will no longer be needed. The sacrificial system will be restored in the Messianic era. However, the only private sacrifices which will be accepted will be the thanksgiving offerings. So man's child will have been circumcised due to the desire will no longer exist, the sin that will no longer exist. And the private sacrifices which were brought to atone for sin will no longer be needed. So meaning that when prayer would be necessary, prayers of thanksgiving. Our prophet and seers is not long for the Messianic era, in order that they might rule the world and dominate others. They do not desire that the nations should honor them, or that they should be able to eat and drink or be merry. They only wanted one thing, and that to be free and to involve themselves from the Torah, to be free and involve themselves in the Torah and its wisdom. They wanted nothing to do with to disturb or distract them. In order that they should be able to strive, become worthy of life of the world to come.